Meet Jill and Julie. Jill and Julie met at hairdressing school and became fast friends. They both became qualified hairdressers and remained friends after that. In 2023, Jill started to become unhappy in the salon she was working at. She would often express to Julie her unhappiness with her current role and her desire to one day be able to open her own salon. In 2024, Jill came across a hair salon for sale near her home. She was very interested and went and had a look. She fell in love with the salon and envisioned herself running her own salon close by to home. She requested information about the salon from the owner to see if buying the business was something that she could do. Jill had a look through the information she received, but knew she could not afford to buy the salon on her own. Jill was saddened as she was so excited at the thought of owning her own salon. Then she had an idea. She called Julie immediately and explained that a salon near them had come up for sale and she had fallen in love with it. She explained to Julie that she could not afford to do it on her own, but she could afford to do it with somebody else. Julie asked Jill what she meant. Jill said to Julie that they should go into partnership and buy the salon together. She explained that it would mean that they would both own their own salon together and get to work together too. Julie liked the sound of that. She told Jill she would consider it and get back to her. Julie thought about Jill's idea throughout the day. She liked the idea of having her own salon and being able to work for herself and work alongside her best friend Jill. She sat down that night with her husband and explained that Jill called her that morning and had been thinking about the idea of having her own salon and working with Jill. She told her husband that she was really considering the idea. Julie's husband was open to the idea of it as he could see how excited Julie was. However, he did have some concerns, such as what would happen if the relationship between Julie and Jill broke down or the business didn't go as well as hoped. Julie said that she had no concerns about working with Jill as they were best friends and they would work well together. Julie's husband suggested that if she really wanted to do this, he would prefer that they get legal advice so that they could ensure that Julie was protected. The following day, Julie phoned Jill excited. She told Jill that she had thought about her idea and was very keen to find out more. Jill was so excited. She sent the information about the business to Julie to look at. That night, Julie and her husband sat down and went through the information. They went through their financial matters and determined that they could afford to purchase 50% of the business. They reviewed the financial reports for the salon and saw that it had been making considerable profits in the previous years. Julie's husband told Julie that if this is what she wants, to go for it. He did, however, tell Julie that he would be more comfortable if they got legal advice first, just to protect them. Julie phoned Jill the following morning and told her that she is in. Jill was so excited. Julie told Jill that her husband just wanted to get legal advice before they proceeded, but otherwise, they were more than happy to go ahead. Jill asked why they would need legal advice and said that if they wanted to proceed, they needed to pay the deposit of $50,000 the following day and sign the document so they did not miss out, as there was a lot of interest in the business. Julie, although hesitant, did not want to miss the opportunity and went home and transferred $25,000 to Jill for her share of the deposit. Julie told her husband that she had transferred the $25,000 to Jill for the deposit. Julie's husband said that was great, but asked again if they could make an appointment to get legal advice before they signed anything, just to make sure they were protected. Julie told him that Julie and Jill had to sign the purchase documents the following day in order to secure the purchase. She asked her husband what he was concerned about and reminded him that it was Jill that they were going into business with, so there was nothing to worry about. Julie's husband did not want to stop her from proceeding, so he told her to do what she needed to do. However, he did have his concerns. Jill and Julie signed the paperwork the following day. Settlement was to take place 30 days later. Julie and Jill both paid the balance of $100,000 each to purchase the business. Julie used the funds that her husband had received as his inheritance from his mother's estate. Settlement took place 30 days later. Jill and Julie operated their new salon for the next 4 months. They loved working together and loved owning their own salon that they could make their own. After about 5 months, Julie noticed that Jill had been acting slightly off and asked Jill if everything was okay. Jill said she was fine. Over the next few weeks, Jill had started calling Julie in the morning saying she would not be in for the day. This started to happen more regularly over the coming weeks. Julie started to get concerned as she could not keep up with the client appointments on her own and could not afford to run the business from just the income she was earning. She knew she had to talk to Jill. The next day, Julie asked Jill to sit down and said they needed to talk. Julie explained that she was concerned about Jill and about the business and said that the business could not afford to keep operating without her there. Jill became immediately defensive and said Julie was being ridiculous and that she did not think working with Julie would be like this. Julie was confused. Over the next few days, the tension between Julie and Jill grew, and Julie became increasingly unhappy going to work and having to work alongside Jill. Julie told her husband what had been happening, and he grew concerned. Julie's husband asked if it was a good idea to seek legal advice on what they should do, particularly if the relationship between Julie and Jill would break down even further. Julie said that she thought that may be a good idea and regretted not getting it in the first place. The following day, Julie went to enter the salon and it was locked. She tried to unlock the door, but her key did not fit the lock. Julie knocked on the door and Jill came and opened it. Julie asked Jill if everything was okay and why her key did not fit in the lock. Jill said she changed the locks and did not wish to work with Julie any longer. She said the salon was her idea and she wants to run it by herself and not with Julie, and asked her to leave. Julie said to Jill that they were equal partners and she had a right to enter the salon, and reminded her that she contributed half of the funds to purchase the business. Jill closed the door and locked it and would not let Julie in. Julie raced home and called her husband and told him what had happened. He told Julie to check the business bank accounts to see if there were funds in there and to call the bank to ensure that no funds could be withdrawn without joint signatures of Julie and Jill. He was worried Jill would try to take the funds and Julie would lose the money she had paid into the business. Julie logged into the bank accounts and saw that Jill had transferred all of the business funds out of the business accounts. Julie went into a panic. She told her husband that the business funds were gone and she did not know what to do. Her husband told her to leave it with him while he rang Trish at Wollerman Shacklock Lawyers. Julie's husband spoke to Trish and explained the situation. Trish asked if Julie and Jill signed a shareholders agreement when they opened the business, as this would assist in determining what happens if the relationship breaks down. Julie's husband said that he did want Julie to come and see Trish first, but it all happened so quickly and they did not have any agreements drawn up. Trish explained to Julie's husband that without a shareholders agreement in place, it can become very tricky, particularly if one of the parties is not reasonable. Julie's husband was very concerned, as he did not want them to lose the $125,000 that they had paid into the business. Julie and her husband came in to see Trish that afternoon and instructed her to assist in resolving the dispute with Jill. Julie told Trish that Jill had handled the business finances and paying the bills, so she did not really know the financial position of the business. However, she did know that Jill did not have money to pay legal fees if this ended in a legal dispute. Trish advised Julie and her husband that this was a very tricky situation as they did not have any legal agreements to protect them. She said that she could not guarantee that she could get all of the capital that they paid into the business back, but she would do her best. Trish was able to correspond with Jill, who was not at all being reasonable. Trish advised Jill that if she did not attempt to resolve the matter reasonably, then Julie would proceed with legal action to recover the capital she paid to purchase the business. Luckily, Jill did not want to engage in a legal dispute and agreed to come to a resolution to resolve the matter. Throughout the correspondence with Jill, Trish became aware that Jill was responsible for the lease payments for the building and suppliers of the products used in the salon, but had not been making the payments. Julie and Jill were both responsible for payment of these outstanding debts. Julie was shocked. She had no idea that Jill would ever do this to her, but was also worried about the financial loss she would incur as a result of this. Luckily, with Trish's expertise, she was able to get Jill to come to an agreement with Julie. The agreement was that Jill would pay all the outstanding payments to be paid to the suppliers and the overdue lease payments, and continue to pay the lease on her own. Julie and Jill agreed that Jill would pay Julie $100,000 back for the capital that she had paid into the business. Whilst Julie and her husband had lost $25,000 of the capital that they had paid to purchase the business, plus all the legal fees, they were so thankful that Trish was able to negotiate with Jill and get them most of their money back. They realised very quickly that they could have ended up in a much worse financial situation if Jill had refused to pay any of the outstanding debts to the lease and to their suppliers and pay back the capital that they had initially paid. They knew that they could have ended up in a much more costly legal battle also if Trish was not able to get Jill to come to a resolution. They were so glad that they were able to minimise the financial loss that they incurred. Julie and her husband learnt a very expensive lesson of why you should always seek legal advice before entering into a partnership with someone or any type of agreement, even if they are your best friend. They also learnt the value of having a well-prepared shareholders agreement in place. If you're thinking of going to a partnership with someone or already in a partnership but do not have a shareholders agreement in place, this is a great reminder of why you should have one prepared now. If you need further assistance with having one drawn up or would like further information about what to include, give us a call today and Trish would be pleased to assist.